when you're doing an assessment, you're pointing out all the shortcomings, failings, flaws, etc. Okay. But part of what you want to do when you're doing this assessment is not giving them the blueprint to how to fix it. You're just pointing out, hey, your cybersecurity is weak here. You don't have policies. You don't have immutable backup. You don't have two-factor authentication. You whatever, you're pointing out, here's where everything's leaking, right? You're not giving them the blueprint. Now they still might come back and say, okay, we're going to try and do this on our own. Okay, that's fine. And when you're in sales, you're going to get some people who say no. I don't know of anybody who closes 100%, right? But just, I would say part of your process needs to build in building the certainty that this is something you can fix, and the certainty that they should hire you. Because if they're saying we're going to try and fix it ourselves, you have either failed to sell them on the size and scope and consequences of the fixes, right? Because so maybe you made it sound too simple. Maybe you made it sound easy, or you have failed to sell them on you. So they're not certain that you're the guy to hire. So they might say, we're going to try and fix it ourselves. They might be going to someone cheaper, their old incumbent IT provider, and trying to get that guy. Now you're saying they all come back and they hire you anyway. So that's great. But just know, guys, like in sales, like you're always going to have these anomalies where someone says, I'm not going to spend the money. I'll try and fix it myself. Or I'm going to go back to, we're going to think about it. We're not going to do it. There's always that. I mean, there's always these objections, guys. That's sales, right? But that doesn't mean that the process of offering a free consultation is wrong. You understand? Just because you're going to get people say, oh, no, thank you, I'll try and do it myself. Or no, I don't, we're going to just take this and, go back to our incumbent. Like, just because that happens in some of the sales doesn't mean invalidate the free sales assessment altogether, full stop. I mean, when you're in sales, so here's the reality. Roughly, I'd say about 10 to 20% of the prospects that you engage with are going to be lay downs. They're going to buy. They're going to be easy. They're usually coming in through a referral. No real objections, couple questions. They're going to be easy sales. About 10 to 20% of the people that you're going to meet with, I don't care how great you are, they're never buying. They're not. They're just stubborn. I don't even know why they're on the sales meeting. They should have been qualified out, right? Then the other 70, 80% are people who could be convinced, but they're not certain enough to move forward. Okay, that's the majority of these opportunities. So if you think of it that way, that's 70, 80%, the bulk of the sales could really go either way. They could give you an objection and say, we're not spending the money. We're going to go back to our incumbent. We're going to try and do it ourselves. We're going to not do this right now. We're going to think about it. We're going to pray about it. We're going to whatever, right? It's that uncertainty that if you're a really good salesperson and your process is good, you can get more of those people to close. If your process is not good, you're going to have more of them to say no. That doesn't mean the free assessment offer is a bad offer. It's all in how you're using it. Okay. So I just want to make sure I make that distinction, because every time we bring this up, somebody will point out some situation that they were in this one time at band camp. And, we had this prospect say this or do this, and they kind of say that as a way of, and I'm not saying Carlos is saying this, but I'm just in general, they're trying to invalidate the offer of using a free assessment, and it doesn't invalidate the offer. It just means that your process needs to overcome those objections, because those are potential ways that prospect could go off the path. Like here around TMT, and it's very similar to Wolf of Wall Street. And I was so happy. We just had him speak at Producers Club. And I was really excited to see his philosophy and my philosophy is very, very similar. I always told my salespeople, our sales process is like a pathway through the woods. Okay. And what you want to do is you want to stay on the path, because if you stay on the path, you're going to end up at success. You're going to end up at your journey, your destination, which is a closed sale. But if you wander off the path, you're going to get lost or eaten by a bear, right? And I always say that. I'll say that in my sales training. I'm like, you wandered off the path and you got eaten by a bear, which in a bear, it is an objection, or you got lost, or you got delayed, or you couldn't find your way back onto the path because you got so far off the path. That's like the straight line system that Jordan's talking about. You have an opening, you have a close, and you're constantly bringing prospects You're wrangling them off, because they're trying to wander off the path here. They're trying to ask you questions to throw you off. They're trying to give you an objection to take you over. And you as a salesperson have to maintain control of that conversation and let them wander off a little bit, then pull them back onto the path, and then pull your sale back onto the path. Not abruptly, not rudely, not aggressively, not like in a dickish asshole kind of way. There you go. There's a dickish asshole. Let's get a t-shirt that says that. But in a way that is authoritative, that is confident. Hey, we got to stay on this path, right?